reasonable essentially on the crossing elimination or improvement in that area. And, you know, I spoke with Merrill last night, I spoke with Plymouth County Board this morning, stopped by the chamber, and they're all willing to provide a letter of support. And especially what I told Merrill last night is this doesn't mean we're just looking at a bridge in that location. We're talking about increasing or having a larger study area, trying to look at the possibility of even relocating the crossing to minimize the impact to the community. So, US 75, you've got about 14,000 vehicles a day, 25% trucks, so it's certainly a commercial route, and we know a lot of that commerce has origin destination up in the Mars area, and that's why I'm here today, is seeking a letter of support.
When you say a relocation, is that a relocation of the railroad?
Could be. It could be. The crossing.
Well, I understand that. I understand.
I mean, one of the things that skew right there of that crossing with US 75, it could be in a better location. Obviously, if you look at, if it was a bridge over, the minimum clearance is 23.5, under clearance is 23.5, so that'd be from the top of the rail to the bottom of the bridge. That puts that structure up in the air quite a bit. One of the things that Merrill expressed last night is they would like to maintain their businesses along US 75. And if you put a bridge right where it's at, you're gonna have a real problem trying to maintain access. So I don't know what the railroad's involved in this. They are a partner, if you will. They're gonna pay a portion of the local match on this if we are successful in receiving the grant.
At the risk of really sounding like a smart aleck, I'm gonna ask a really serious question. I'm not 100% on board with that Merrill congestion affects Lamar's, like a 400-car train twice a day coming through Lamar's, stopping traffic clear back to 75
Sure.
past Floyd Valley. Screws up our situation. So I'm a little bamboozled as to why I'm being asked to get involved in the Merrill crossing. That's just my question.
Yep.
And I would just weigh in that I can't tell you how many times in court we get a call, I'm at a training event. So I mean, I know I can document multiple times. Whether that affects a lot of businesses, it affects people getting to us.
That's a different rail line that comes through town.
Well, I totally understand it's a different rail line. I cross this track 5 times a day hauling loads to Sioux City, so I know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And I understand how this works. You'd have to get the kind of buy-in from
Yeah.
stakeholders in the area.
It helps, and the difference, if you want to look at it, why Merrill, congestion's one thing, it's certainly safety. Driver expectancy, you don't necessarily anticipate having on a high-speed facility on an expressway like US 75 an at-grade rail crossing. So there is safety concern there. We do have a crash history there. We've had in the past, and it's been, while I've been up here, where we've had condition issues that have required closure of US 75, and then we end up running US 75 traffic through Merrill, and that's a safety concern as well. And that, I think the last time we did that, it was almost a 2-week closure, trying to replace that. So that, and if we're not successful getting a grant, you know, that's all the further this is going to go at this time. The grant request, I think it's 1.8 million. Railroad's paying 10%, DOT's paying 10%, we're pursuing 80%. And then this would take us, this would do the planning portion, the preliminary design, and this would get us a decision document on the environmental work.
Curiosity, who's the other 10%? You left 10% out.
80, 10, 10.
Who's the other 10? Railroads?
The DOT, the railroad, and then the 80% is the federal government.
Oh, the feds, okay. Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
DOT
Okay,
and railroad.
okay, I was missing
Yeah.
10% there, so sorry.
Well, I'm not good with math, I'm planning on math.
No, I understand.
I would look at more, Clark, as, yeah, is there any benefit to the area? Yeah, I mean, if Steve was still here,
Chief?
you know, how many Schuster's trucks use that back and forth?
Sure.
We've been caught several times with critical patients in an ambulance going to Sioux City, and we've always said, boy, it'd be nice if the railroad went over the highway or under the highway at that point. Or they have a lot of trouble with the crossing arms there, it seems like, with the railroad, and it's an hour before they get up here or better to fix them. And then you're trying to go around through Maryland stuff, so, on the safety side, we've had issues before, so I do appreciate that study if it would get done. Thank you.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
so what exactly does this do, Dakin?
it's just a letter of support. This goes in with the
Saying
application.
that the area wants this.
Yeah, that we've gone out and we've discussed how we want to approach this, and that there's buy-in from, if you want to call it the stakeholders or the area.
Does Hinton get hit up on it too?
Thursday?
Okay, I figured.
Yeah, I've got to talk, I don't have to, I mean, I want to talk to him.
Right.
I'm gonna talk to them about their project as well, but at the same time, I'm gonna talk to them about letter of support.
Sure.
Sioux City's gonna get the same thing,
Okay,
the chamber down there, so,
all right, I was just curious.
yep. No, and if the EMS
Give you a letter.
providers in this area wanna
Give a separate letter.
put in a letter of support, I've got an example right here.
Very good.
I'm sure they would. I mean, even Orange City and all those that run down through here, the cities, level one type hospitals, I think you could get that support.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Dakin? All right, thank you, Dakin.
Thank you.
So you need a.
I need a motion.
I would move that we provide a letter of support.
Yeah, I'll second that.
I have a motion from Brad, second from Clark, for the motion authorizing staff to provide a letter of support for the IDOT's application for a railroad crossing elimination program grant. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Dakin.
Thank you.
Moving on. Action item 2, the Lamar's Interchange Track Project. Design 9 has prepared plan for the Lamar's Interchange Track Project. As industry's use of the rail increases and rail car counts rise, there is a need to add an additional interchange track. The track is proposed next to the existing interchange between 18th Street Southwest and Lincoln Street. The new track will accommodate approximately 17 rail cars. The proposed schedule is February 6, 2024, the public hearing. March 12, 2024, bids are due. March 19, 2024, award the bid. November 1st, 2024-ish, completion date. Recommendation is the administration is recommending council proceed to a public hearing and authorize staff to negotiate the purchase of needed property. The financial impact, the estimated $930,000 project, would be reimbursed by tax increment financing. Hi.
Hi, thank you for taking the time to talk about this. I think you guys, and I saw.
Would you identify yourself first?
Oh, I'm sorry. AJ Martin, General Manager, Burlington Junction Railroad.
Thank you.
I was here a couple months ago when we did the contract negotiations. I brought, this is Kevin Rashawn, Director of Marketing, to kind of talk about what we see going forward and why we think we seem to see this expansion of rail. You know, we've been in contact with the CN about ways that we can expand the interchange, whether that's getting 2 switches a day instead of the 1 to try to minimize on any kind of expenses. They're flat out saying that that's not in their repertoire of going forward about how to do things. So I just kind of want to read a verbatim section here from the CN that we've had some comments with them about how we can express our way of making the site more attractive. We're already kind of at max capacity as it is. He's going to give a little bit more in depth about that. So this is verbatim from the CN. Another associate of ours, Peter Hoth, who's on the marketing team, had this conversation with the CN. So last spring at the ASLRRA, we represented the city of Lamar's in New Orleans. And what that is, it's a short line convention. for all the short lines. There's over 600 short lines in the United States. And we take what we have and we try to learn from other companies about how we can generate more business, more kind of appetite for the community on what we can do to attract those things. Biggest thing this year, obviously, transloading, getting customers that do not have rail to their door, the rail access portion. They met with Kevin and Peter met with Damon Fox, he's account manager for supply chain service and business development, and Justin De Silva, marketing manager, strategy and supply chain solutions. They talked to them about business expansion and how the CN could further that in Lamar's. In May of last year, we talked with Scott Anderson about the potential of expanding the interchange to handle increased rail volume. What we tried to do, and we've talked to Jason about this, is we've tried to build it on the CN property, next to the CN main line, to limit any need from the city of Lamar's or the BGRY to do anything, because it's increased volume for them as well. And from our conversation with them, that pretty much went nowhere. You know, they're all about crossing eliminations because that's a safety concern. This is more of a timing that they don't know whether they can do it or not. You know, since the snowstorms, we haven't had a switch. So we've done what we can within our yard, and we hope tomorrow morning will be our first switch. We were told we were looking at options at our site to expand the interchange track and brought up the possibility of increasing the frequency of CN service to Lamar's to allow additional interchanges. This would be somewhat difficult, but not impossible operationally for them, so it seemed like the best next step would be expand the interchange yard on the city side. That was a conversation that we had with the CN. So we have kind of not necessarily exhausted what else we can do, but from what he's about to tell you on the marketing side, we don't know our next step to continue building traffic. So in turn, the city of Lamar's can get more back on their investment within the community and in a monetary value. So I'll turn it over to Kevin.
So Clark, you had mentioned earlier about the trains coming in and blocking traffic and everything. If they do 2 interchanges, that's just gonna get worse. We're in 14 locations, and I can't think of anywhere we get 2 interchanges a day. It's just the class 1s aren't trying to do that. So in 2023, we saw about 1,757 loaded rail cars come into Lamar's. And I have very good reason to believe those numbers in 2024 could go up to 2,500. If you take the new guaranteed minimums from St. Paul and a new customer, plus what everyone else did last year, that would put the total number just shy of 3,000. But there are always variables out of our control that we can't handle. Last year, a customer had some problems at their main plant and it almost bankrupted them. But they've got it fixed and they started sending cars again. So that problem's pretty much been fixed. With the new addition of the LPS building, I believe this will only help. There are also a couple of new customers that we brought in last year in the middle of the year that really produced some strong volumes in the second half. If there's not a new interchange to accommodate these volume predictions, not only do I think we would have a difficult time servicing those existing customers, but we wouldn't be able to make anything south of 27 very serviceable. So I think it was 2021 was the first time we hit our 1,500 mark, and we had a little dip last year with the problems of those couple new customers, but that's what I got. So.
We can go more in detail on any of that as well.
Yeah. But I don't think, I mean, just to be clear, you guys aren't the ones causing the congestion I was talking about. That's
No, but
that's UP. I mean, you're
Yeah.
out there and you affect very few people trying to
Right.
get, to small business.
Yeah.
But if the CN decides to add a second interchange because we can't build a bigger interchange for
Okay.
one train,
Okay.
then they'll have to, they may decide to do it at 4:30 PM every day. And then what is that gonna do to the whole area?
Sure,
It may
sure.
just cause, we don't know what time, they may do it at 3 AM, we don't know. So that's kind of where we're at with them, is not knowing where they would add the interchange or what they would cost.
So can I ask, are you guys asking to improve, and I get what you're doing here, I see what you're doing. But you don't know the result if you do it, is that what I heard you say? You don't really know how it's gonna be received, but you have to kind of do it to see how it's received?
I mean, go ahead.
Well, I mean, is everybody clear on what the problem is?
storage.
They just have no room to
Room.
move cars.
So our
around.
current interchange now is about 12 cars.
Okay.
And then, so when we're growing these numbers, anything really more than what we're doing now, CN's not gonna have room to pick up the outbound and bring the inbound.
Okay.
Yeah, so this location is where CN drops the incoming cars off at, and then these guys take them to where they need to go. And it's also the place where they
They pick
bring
up their
them
loaded and pick them
Yeah.
for CN to take their
So the way that it's kind of laid out now in the yard is there's 3 tracks. One is a drop off, one's a pickup, and the other one's a run through. If they come in from a different direction, and they have to get to the other side of the train, that's it. That's all we can do. So when he says 12 cars, yes, there's more room in that yard to hold more cars, but in theory, there can't be, because there's only 3 tracks to do it. With the 4th track, we now can double the amount of cars we can set out. So in some of these numbers, I'd be glad to share any of those with you that you want. You know, we're talking roughly, you know, almost double the amount of cars that we're gonna be seeing this upcoming year, with the guarantees that we've gotten from the St. Paul and this other new customer that we're working on.
I'd like to come out and look at it sometime.
Of course,
I'm in
yeah.
in support of it. I mean, seriously, I'm in support of it because I'm very much in support of rail.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Believe it or not, I was looking at the numbers when I was reading through this and thinking 17 didn't sound like a lot. But
It doesn't, but if you look at the existing infrastructure, we're doubling capacity.
Basically doubling, yeah.
So it kind of depends on what happens to the south of 27, like Kevin said. But with what we have today, could we go without this? It'd be rough. It'd be pretty tough. Because if there's any influx, whether weather or even crew issues with the class 1s, we're gonna have trouble,
Right.
which is then just gonna back up everything and cause a couple of weeks issues.
I'm fine with it, I guess.
Yeah, I would think with this new addition, we could handle 4,000 a year
Yeah,
pretty easily.
yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which we don't know with, you know, South 27 south of that, we don't know what that brings, but we think with the infrastructure we have, we can make it.
You could put some storage out there too. I don't want to drag this on, but
Yeah.
you could put storage out there too.
We could, it's just your cost, you don't wanna build cars to hold storage. The interchange stuff is you have to have that to get cars in and out.
Right.
Storage, you're looking at like $4 a day, so really in a rail car will only make about $1,400 a year if it sat there and did nothing else except accrue. So that's not a lot of money when you're really looking at, you know, could be $1,000 every 2 feet by the time you do engineering, the groundwork, and everything else.
All right. Okay.
Anything else?
It's a great problem to have, I guess.
Yeah.
I think that's what it comes down to. It's a very good problem to have.
Well, it's gonna help to set us up for the expansion of, you know, going south, right? So,
Motion to establish February 6, 24 at 12 noon for a public hearing on plans for Lamar's Interchange Track Project, and establish March 12th, 24 at 10 to receive and open bids, with said bids being considered on March 19, 24.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank
I'd like to
you.
come out and look at it.
Yes, we'll be available. Yep, yep. Thank you.
Moving on to item 3, the Lamar's Interchange Track Engineering Agreement. Attached is an engineering proposal from Design 9 for the Lamar's Interchange Track Project. The agreement involves bid documents, bidding, and construction monitoring. The administration recommends council approve the Design 9 agreement. The financial impact is that the total agreement is $47,400 to be paid with tax increment financing or TIF. Anything to add to that, gentlemen?
No,
Motion
this
to
is-
approve. Go ahead. What's that, Jason?
I mean, no, this is like any other
Yep.
engineering
Yep.
group. It just gets us through bidding and
Yep.
construction.
Motion to approve the engineering agreement with Design 9 for the Lamar's Interchange Track Project for $47,400.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
aye.
Those opposed, same. Motion carried. Thank you again, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Moving on. Item 4, the Palmer and Martfeld rezoning. On January 9th, 2024, the Planning and Zoning Commission approved the proposed rezoning of 2690 Lincoln Avenue Southwest, Palmer, and 2542 Lincoln Avenue Southwest, Martfeld, from R rural to I3 heavy industrial. The properties were annexed in October of 2023. The property should have been included with the rezoning of the Lamar's Industrial Park 4th Edition, but were inadvertently omitted. The administration recommends, and the planning and zoning recommend, that the council proceed to a public hearing to rezone. Jason, anything on that?
So 2 houses out there. They were at the P and Z meeting.
I was gonna ask if they
They're
weighed,
grandfathered in,
they-
they're fine.
okay.
They're not gonna get relocated, I mean. as long
right,
as
they've weighed in, or they've been, okay.
Motion to establish February 6, 2024 at 12 o'clock PM as a public hearing to rezone 2690 and 2542 Lincoln Ave Southwest from R rural to I3 heavy industrial.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Action item 5, a police vehicle purchase. Police Chief Vandevek requested budgeting for a new police vehicle and to switch an existing vehicle to a K-9 vehicle in the proposed 25 budget. The new vehicle would replace a 2018 Ford Explorer, currently the K-9 vehicle, with 140,000 miles with a 2024 Ford Explorer. The committee discussed moving both vehicle expenses from the proposed FY25 budget and paying for it now. The recommendation, the Public Safety Committee is recommending that council approve the expenses for both vehicles and fund using American Rescue Plan Act, the ARPA funds. Total cost to purchase and equip the newer vehicle is $54,000. To convert the existing vehicle to a K-9 vehicle would be $9,600. Chief Vandevek intends to apply for a grant to cover a portion for all of the K-9 conversion. ARPA funds would supplement the grant amount. Current uncommitted ARPA funds are at $424,641.60.